Hey guys, I don't have too much to preface this one, but this one you're definitely not going to want to miss. It's the Great American Craft Expo Tell All.
Well, as you can see, we're still having tea.
Hey guys, welcome back to Craft Tea episode 28. I'm actually back this time. I just remembered that I completely bailed last time.
Just
Last time.
up and left me, huh?
Which honestly kind of is a pretty good precursor to this episode.
My
So
stomach hurts.
this
Where do you want to start?
this is the Great American Craft Expo Tell All kind
Yeah,
of.
because I'm not even giving the showboat the satisfaction of being
The title.
whole. Well,
The
they're
full
gonna
title?
get blasted in the title. I feel like
Well,
they
we were
should-
coming up with all different titles. It was like the hottest expo of the summer.
Literally. All right. Let's wind it back though. Let's give a little bit of backstory on the months leading up to this. Should we go there, or where do you want to start?
Probably just paint the picture from the beginning is the easiest way, I think, to make sense of, give everybody the full journey of kind of what this was. I think we've been doing that a couple times in past episodes, but this will be the full sum up, obviously, because we're on the tail end.
This is our second year hosting the Great American Craft Expo, which we hosted at Oaks Convention Center, and we had no problems with Oaks Convention
None.
Center. We were going back.
We had one problem. They took our classroom away
I do remember.
like 3 days before the expo started.
Yeah.
They had realized that they booked the room next to ours and that they were going to be using that main hallway where you'd have to walk across to get to what they gave us for our classroom. That other larger, it was a big dinosaur thing. It was actually really cool. But they were using that hallway. So
It worked out though.
they were like, hey, we're going to give you a whole nother like expo room, which was crazy. It was actually too much space. It made it a little echoey for sound and stuff, but like we still made do. Like the pipe and drape people that we worked with, we actually contacted them again because the pipe and drape people that Showboat gave us was like a joke. That'll be a different part of the story, but
yeah.
those guys were awesome too. Like every part of, other than the classroom
we were
thing,
going to go back. It was fine.
It was great.
We had all intentions of going
we
back
had
to
Arnold's
Oaks,
across the
and
street
then
for the after party
the
entertainment.
showboat contacted us and wanted to know if we were interested in hosting our expo at their location because, you know, I forget the way they sold it to us, but they definitely were upfront about losing the casino license, the gambling license, and that they're revamping and they're going to be like this family fun center, this expo thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, what?
We were like,
This
oh,
is
they have-
amazing. Just the foot traffic alone that we were going to get is bomb, you know?
Yep.
Because we were going to be right next to the check-in. The classrooms were going to be themed out upstairs. And Atlantic City, although it's Atlantic City, it has a lot of people. The Country Music Fest was in town. We were like, this is great.
Yeah, we didn't know where we'd have the classroom up yet. That's why you're jumping a little, because when they approached us, we didn't know exactly what it looked like. We were excited that the venue would just be different.
We only have an hour, so
We
I
didn't
looped
walk
them
it through
all in
yet.
the same.
So, I mean, the tell-all might be a little longer than an hour.
Well, I mean,
or I'm not telling all. So,
but
anyway.
I think that we could X-nay a few details, like the months we were emailing back and forth.
All right.
But you go ahead, and I'll just... You tell me when. Go ahead.
Nope. What, do you want to keep the fast timeline, or?
How many details beforehand did you want to go into? Because, boy, do we got a lot after we opened those doors.
I know. That's why I was trying to, like I said, to really understand the whole story, you got to tell the whole story. When we were reached out by them, we were excited just to be able to have everything in the same spot with the entertainment stuff. The biggest disagreement, or not the biggest negative that we had from the first year was that it was just, there wasn't enough ticket value by default, like a GA default. So we felt like it was bland and boring anyway, which it was. It was in a white box room. That was the big negative. I know you're just going to stare at me the rest of this time.
I don't know where to stare. I'm interested in the story, too. I didn't know where to look. I look at you every time you're talking.
Yes, you stare into that camera.
Continue, please.
You're driving me crazy. So,
Where do you want me to look?
so the thought of being able to have entertainment by default in somewhere like Atlantic City was just like way more enticing.
Yes.
We didn't have, like, Arnold's was good entertainment, but it's across the street. You have to leave the place. We're like, hey, this has an arcade built in. This has go-karts built
The
in.
hotel is here.
We didn't even know. The water park wasn't even an idea, so that wasn't any part of it. We weren't like, oh, there's a water park. Weren't even told they were building one yet, right? So
It was still a parking lot. We parked there.
it was. We actually did park there the entire time that we did all of our walkthroughs leading
That's the
up to
time,
this.
Chris, remember we had to walk back and get your phone. That's where the water park is. The very first time we were there.
Oh, wow.
It was just a parking lot.
Facts. I remember.
With construction crews in it.
Yeah, and they moved the golf course too, the mini golf.
Yeah, we essentially watched this whole thing happen, right? Like the whole water park unfold, all that.
Getting
And
excited every
we
time.
watched the terminal get built because that wasn't even an idea where the venue ended up being. Wasn't even a space when we started this process. We do our first walkthrough. It's October, and me and Sean go there to look at the rooms that they're talking about. Sorry, there's a bug flying around. It's driving me nuts. When we went there, they showed us first, like, the pamphlet thing, right? You got all the different rooms to choose from, and they have a ton of rooms.
They're great.
So we go in and we're like, wow, okay, these are like super like fun, colorful. I think that this is like a much more creative spot. We go there to do the walkthrough. The vendor floor is supposed to be what's called the carousel room. We have video when we brought Chris with us of us doing the walkthrough so that we could have that to reflect on when we're building out the floor plan, building out everything so that we could have a visual in the office, right?
I was there. I remember
That's
this.
the stuff that I
Oh,
hope
wait, no.
we can cut in some of the stuff,
Was I there for
in
this
there
one?
if possible. But what?
Was this one that me and Chris went on this trip?
It was two separate occasions because you and Sean went one to do the quick.
Yeah.
So this is just
me
you and Sean's.
Me and Sean went.
This is just the time that you two went.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then you guys came with us, and
On
that's
the
when
next one.
they were doing like the beauty thing, right?
Oh,
like
the fashion show.
The
or
fashion
whatever.
show, yeah.
All right, you keep going.
So, me and Sean go, and I have a orange walkie wheel thing that Comcast left at my warehouse like 4 years ago. I use
Like
it all the
5
dang
years
time.
ago
I
now.
love it.
So
But
fun.
that's how I'm laying out the floor space. Me and Sean are dragging chairs across. We spent probably like 6 hours there laying this floor plan out so that we could get a booth count, get a flow of how everything will
we
go.
were so ahead of the game.
It was very exciting. And the setup was going to be so great, right? So, like, location-wise, anyone that did attend that's watching, or anyone you want to just, like, look at pictures on the site, you can understand when you walk in the front doors of Showboat itself, there's the registration to check into the hotel. Just to the left of that now is check-in to buy tickets to the water park. That was an empty, vacant registration table.
It was nice
which
looking.
was ours. Yes, it was just empty, and we had it all measured out to skin it with Great American Craft Expo. There were screens and stuff. We were
were
going
gonna
to
pick up bags.
patch into the screens. Yeah, you were going to pick up your bags right at the
VIPs.
front, the VIP bags. It's going to be very easy to find too, right? Like, you can't miss it. It's right next to the hotel check-in. So it's like check into the hotel, go 5 feet to the left, check into the expo, get your wristbands for the weekend, get your bags, whatever. And then right there was double doors for a vendor floor, which is the carousel room.
It was big.
And it was huge. That's what we were talking about. It was a great layout. Spent a lot of time creating that layout, and we were like super excited about it. I actually have like files in two that I can send Chris, maybe that he can like show that we had the vendor floor map, what it looked like, all this time that
We
me and
needed
Sean
to
put
know
into
how
it.
many vendors we could fit so we could budget our expo.
Yep. That's like the groundwork, right? To know the space that you got, because you don't want to oversell, you don't want to undersell, you got to know
You don't want to
what you're working with.
overspend.
Yes. So that was figured out, and then we went upstairs, and that's where there was multiple rooms to choose from. And we're like, okay, we don't need them all. Let's see like what we want to work with. The first one that we ended up going with for classrooms was the the mansion room.
That's the one. I could not remember the name of it.
Yeah, so that's the mansion room, and that was awesome. Like, that room, actually,
It was adorable.
we've been there during other walkthroughs where other people have rented just that for an event. Like, it's a
Yes.
big room
The last
that
time we were
has
there was the
other small
bridal
rooms
one.
that break off of it. Yep. So that was going to be great too. That was going to be the central hub for classes. If you had a class, you were going to go and check in there, and that had a huge center area that we were going to have all the class bags. You'd be able to pick up your class bag there and then be told which classroom. There was 2 classrooms that would be housed right off of that. In that space, we got tons of pictures of stuff too. It looks really awesome. There's murals of like clouds on the ceilings. It looks like you're in like a village in like Italy or something. Really awesome.
The check-in room was cute. It had like its own little window and stuff.
Yep, same thing. It had like a thing up top that we'd be able to put very nice signage that says like check-in and everything. It had its own bathroom that came right off of the classrooms right there.
You couldn't even smell that
right.
Bathroom.
Nope. And so that would have been the first 2 classrooms. So we were actually set to have 4 classrooms so that we could break up the class sizes and so that we could break up the changeovers so that it could be a lot more seamless.
One's getting used.
One set up. Well, exactly. So we you'd walk down the hall a little bit, and then that's where you got to where people did see some was the bourbon room is the giant big stage room. That's where we had the welcome party and the after party. That's where we were going to house demonstrations. We were going to have different events where people could kind of have the demo on stage and have like a few chairs in the front and everything. And that was going to be running throughout the weekend as well. Also the parties too, which it wouldn't have been as difficult to find where the parties and everything were. One, hopefully the desk wouldn't have been telling people that it was flipping canceled, which we'll, get back to that too, or eventually when we get to that part. But it would have just been tighter. Like the whole floor plan, it was very stretched last weekend, now 2 weekends ago by the time this airs. And it would have been so much tighter. That's, I know, was a major complaint, and it was a complaint of ours too. We knew it was going to be a problem, right? When we had to move what we had to do, we were like, this kind of sucks because now half of it's fucking up here and the other half's down there when it was just going to be stacked. So anyway, the bourbon room's right there. Right behind that is the heart and soul room. That's an old poker room. That was going to be the second classroom, and that was going to have a left side and a right side. And then same thing with the power also. All these rooms have immense amounts of outlets at allocated spaces, like literally spread for tables. We counted everything. I have sheets
they were in
that
the floor.
I have sheets
All the
in a
outlets were in the
notebook
floor.
that have outlet counts of every single room for the classrooms and everything. So like everything was like very meticulously planned. And
because we had our down months.
like you said, the heart and soul room, they were in the floor because it was poker. And in the mansion room, they were in the walls on the sides, and we were just going to have them come right in on the sides of the tables. Heart and soul also, that vibe was going to be super dope because when you went to check in, you were going to walk straight ahead to where you would have cashed your chips in, like at this old school poker room.
Oh, that's the one with the window that I'm picturing.
Yep. And you would have walked there. That was where you would have checked in, like, hey guys, I'm here for my class. And we would have just been like, you're in the class to the right or the class to the left, whatever. And boom, that was right there. Now, also in that same hallway, a spot that nobody really got to see, if you would have walked a little further down the hallway, you get to the diamond room. The diamond room was the craft bar. Now, I know we have B-roll of that stuff too, and
so pretty.
That is where the make and takes were going to be. That was going to actually be, there's a whole bar in there. There was going to be the bartender in there for the weekend.
That's
I know
where
we had like
promising people their view from the terrace.
Exactly.
Remember, I kept calling it a patio in all my lives. I'm like, it's more than a patio.
And yeah, really, what is a terrace that overlooks the boardwalk? You can see Steel Pier right off of it, and you'd be able to just kind of like craft, grab a drink, sit out on the porch, soak up some sun.
I bragged about it in almost every live we had.
There was like a little back side room in there, and that's where the TGG store was going to be. It was going to be like tucked back there. It was so much, so
the
such
TGG
big...
store wasn't even going to be there initially. That was a pivot after April, remember?
Yes.
Should
Correct. That was
April?
A pivot. Yeah. So we can fast forward this up, right? Because we did all this. This is by November that all this stuff is done that I just talked about, that we walked through at least 2 to 3 times, took multiple video walkthroughs, took multiple floor map measurements, had our layout ready to go. Now we're sending emails out to start picking up vendors because we know how much space we have to work with, right? We're starting to get our classrooms together. We're starting to figure out who we want to teach so that we can start building that part out. We got plenty of months to do this. Fast forward, like Sarah said, come and Misfit Makers tour was coming through, right?
They're one of the teachers that,
They're one of the teachers that ended up being a part of the expo. So they were on their tour to do their stop here. And we were like, you know what? Now's the time. Why don't we go grab some more B-roll footage? It's been a few months since we had done anything. We did just slight hype things just to get the ball rolling and get people excited and get it built. Now it's time to start really hit marketing and get social media going.
Yeah, because we had Jen with us, and Jen was going to do promotional items through JPJ. Mm-hmm. And then Misfit Makers being here for B-roll. It was just perfect. Let's run. And we were going to, they almost were going to miss it. It was close to the flight.
Yes.
Then they took the chance on making this trip because the B-roll was so worth it.
Yep. We were just so excited about it, honestly. Like, I was just literally so excited about this space. Every time I keep thinking about it, I re-get, like, depressed / angered about everything
We walk into the
happened.
showboat, kind of noticed that something's missing to the left there. The mini golf, I think, was, like, torn up. We were like, oh, that's weird. Look to the right.
They're walking with the mini golf over their shoulders as we walked in. They're leaving with the mini golf. We're like...
We look over to the right.
Where are you going?
And there's no doors. The doors are gone. Of the vendor, of the carousel room.
Gone. Literally gone. Not like no in between.
Like, it looks like they never existed.
Spackle. Well, you can see the spackle of where they were. So you're like, okay, they did this like within the last couple days. And then just like a million things obviously start running through my head. Because I'm like, why don't I know about this? You know, like...
Drywalling a door in takes time. Even the drywall itself. But you're the showboat. You don't drywall yourself. You have to plan this. Hire a crew. Schedule the crew. Pay the crew. Drywall the door. None of that time where they were like, we should probably tell all the people that booked the carousel room.
Because we're not the only people. Like we said, one of the times we did the walkthroughs, there was a fashion show. That's someone that rented the carousel room. We know a local wrestling company that... often does events at the showboat, and it's usually the carousel room that they use. So I bet you that they had that also rented too. You know what I mean?
Is that who Sean was talking about?
Who has an event actually this weekend there.
Oh, man.
And they're pushed into the terminal room, the room that we ended up getting pushed into. So
we got to talk to them and ask them how they got pushed in also, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm like, Sean... You got to get the contact on the phone. I don't feel like blowing up names specifically, but I'm like, Sean, you got to get our contact on the phone. This is not cool, dude. Like, where the fuck is the vendor floor? And so she comes down and she's like, yeah, I mean, you know, like the boss is the boss. And when he gets an idea, he just like wants to do it. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. But like, this didn't just happen. Like, it's dry. This is dry. And like you just said, it takes at least a couple days of planning. And after this past weekend, they do not have their shit together. So there's no way that it was just like a do it. They knew. They fucking knew. They probably knew for a year and it took that long to get their permits through or some bullshit. Like, and they were probably just booking all of us and stringing us along as we could so they could make as most use of that room as they could before their permits pushed through so that they could do their bullshit with the fucking mini golf and the roller skating that's in there now and bumper cars. Which was like empty all weekend.
But they had a fix for us, and ironically, the fix was one of the things that we were interested anyway, which is having the vendors upstairs with us at the classrooms.
Yes. They were like,
that's
hey,
when I was telling everyone,
you guys can just go
ping-ponging everyone.
And then they're like, let's walk again. I'm like, I've walked this hallway 100 times. And they're like, let's just walk again. We've had other events up here.
Remember they said we couldn't have it.
They're like, look up, and they're like, named some random horror con thing and they're like, look at their Facebook and you can see how they had their stuff in the hallways. And I'm like, okay. So if anyone was at our event the first year, it was all pipe and draped out, and that's just like, I like that. I think it's just a cleaner look. I don't like tables in a hallway. It's not what I'm looking for, right? So Obviously, you can't do 10 by 10 either. At this point, I have many vendor spaces sold and everything too, which has a promise to it as well.
Spots.
Yes, there's like told
Corners.
end caps, corner caps, power accessible, etc. This hallway, I'm scrounging for outlets. They're like tucked behind plants. They're like up behind TVs, and I'm
It's
like,
a
dude.
hallway for
and then
a hotel.
now I have to think about this. I'm like, okay, where can I source power? How can I source it safely so that people aren't going to trip all over the shit, and I don't have gaffing tape all over, like. And then lastly, the main thing that stopped me from putting it upstairs, because we did once again lay out a vendor floor that would fit upstairs. We were like, how would this work with the amount of spaces that we sold if we have to move everyone upstairs? Spent the time with the wheel again, laid out all the booths, and another issue is lighting. Half that hallway is a fucking cave, and the other half is like the sun. So it's who goes in the cave, who doesn't, who's going to be okay with it, who's going to, that's a whole nother thing to worry about.
We didn't have a choice though. We were up there for a minute.
Right. Correct. Because we were not given another option either at that point. So
We were gonna make it work. It
Exactly.
was gonna be great.
But then we're talking about it, and then they contact us and they're like, hey, the terminal space that we started working on when you guys first started doing these walkthroughs is finished now.
It's new. It's
Brand
beautiful.
new. If you guys want to come back, do another walkthrough, we can walk through that and see, if you like it. I'm
You and
walking
Sean
through it.
did.
Yes. Walking through it. The same girl. And immediately, I was yelling at her. I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, this is fucking bullshit. You guys are putting me down here. I said, you contacted me last year. I was like, I was in a fucking white box expo center, but everything went smooth. The only reason I left that place was because of the aesthetic that you guys offer. I said, you took that aesthetic and you threw it in the fucking trash. You took all of my time and effort that I spent on this and you wasted it. Now you're putting me in essentially exactly what I was avoiding in a more expensive place to be. Like, Oaks is boring, but it doesn't cost fucking $30 to park every day of the week. Like, it's a free parking lot. It's ridiculous how taxing it is to just be in Atlantic City. It honestly is. And that is hindsight's 2020. I wish I would have realized that they would have done that, because every time we did our walkthroughs, it was not during a peak season. So we
never
didn't get
paid.
charged a single time. I was in that parking garage probably 15 times leading up to this expo, and I never once paid for parking to park in that parking garage.
We just thought
never
it was
once.
one of the things. They're just not telling people that they don't care, because the booths in there are empty.
They
ticket
also
booths.
told us with the parking situation. We'll
that's
get
the
to
next-
that too.
I was gonna say, that's the
yeah,
next
I'll
one.
skip to that. I won't. That's your part too.
You guys said
Anyway.
no to the. You guys said no to the expo center, although Sean said it looked nice.
So we're in here and we're like, okay, I'm walking through and I'm like, you know what? It's just not what I want. It's not what I want. We're going to just deal with the hallway upstairs. It's not what I want. Fast forward, we go to TumblerCon. TumblerCon is habitually a very easy load in, load out. I fucking love it. The parking lot is wide open, plenty of places to put a trailer, leave a trailer, no problems. You can get right to the door, get your stuff loaded in, pull away from the door, and you're good for the weekend. Everything's fantastic at TumblerCon in that regards, and I love it. So when I was driving my very long drive home from Texas, and I'm just like thinking about our expo, and I'm thinking about the decision that I made ultimately,
You started having like a panic attack.
I'm like, hey, Showboat offered me basically this in what TumblerCon has, because that terminal does have the only fucking thing that's positive about that is easy load in, load out. It's the basement of the garage. It's called the terminal because it was the bus terminal to the parking garage. You open the loading docks on either side, drive the vendors in, get their stuff unloaded, drive the vendors out. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. That's what I was looking for. I don't want to create more problems for my vendors, because I know that I have vendors driving just as far as I drove to TumblerCon, if not farther.
have to take 2
Grateful Glitters did
elevators.
even farther than that. Yes. When I did the walkthrough for upstairs, I was shown the load in, load out, which is drive to the back of the Showboat to a loading dock, a very tight loading dock. Hope that somebody else is not at that loading dock already. Then get your stuff unloaded. Put it on the service elevator. I hope you got a cart. Take it up the service elevator, down what is probably a quarter-mile hallway of a really cool behind-the-scenes looking hallway from like when this hotel was built. It is actually really cool to walk the back halls.
And this is an important part of the story you'll see later on.
Not fun. So you get all the way down, and then you would end up at the other end, which is essentially backstage-ish to the bourbon room. This is how bands would load in. That's essentially how shit gets upstairs. So then you roll your shit out to the hallway and get it out to where your stuff would be, right? That's what we would have been sold on for load in, load out for that. After our event, or during our event, I spoke with one of the vendors that was actually at our first year at Oaks, and he's the guy that sells the lamps. I got a Frankenstein lamp somewhere. We'll find it. He told me that he has vendored a couple other times at Showboat for other people.
Bless that.
Never was at the terminal before. He said it has always been a shit show. He said never has it been a good time, ever once. It's always been a fucking nightmare. But when they vendored upstairs for one of the events, they told them they'd be using a service elevator. Nay. When the event ended and it came time to load out, they said, okay, where's the service elevators? And they were like, you guys have to use the public elevators. And
which are the size of a normal elevator.
It's a normal elevator. And I'm talking like I had a good amount of vendors and they had big stuff. And I said it to my vendors. I was like, listen.
There's no way you could have swung a U-boat in there like, at all.
Regardless of the issues that happened throughout the weekend of our expo, I was like, if I would have put you guys upstairs and you had to use a public elevator, you would have burned me at the fucking stake.
2 public elevators, so one elevator down, and then through the whole casino.
And it comes out right at the arcade. You know what I mean? Like,
right at our other
the
place.
Elevators are actually in a prime location for foot traffic for actually where Expo was supposed to be. So, yeah.
So we swap.
So anyway, we end up, like I said, like Sarah said, I'm having like a breakdown and I'm like, dude, I can't do this to the vendors. I hadn't even heard this story about the public elevator thing anyway. The service elevator was enough issue for me that I'm like, I am not creating more issues for my vendors, more stressful issues for my vendors for the sake of aesthetic. That's what it came down to for me. I was like, it's purely, I am trying to keep us up where the aesthetic is, but it would have been a fucking nightmare load in, load out, and all that shit. So
accurate.
I was like, you know what? We're going to use the space. It's brand fucking new. It's air conditioned. It's got great lighting. It's big. It's far away from everything, which sucks, but like that was the only thing that we really were going to have to deal with.
And if you guys are counting the weeks right now, if you guys are looking on your calendar to see when TumblrCon was and when our expo is, yes, 6 weeks out. We're changing this thing for the 3rd/4th time.
So ultimately, though, honestly, one of the factors in there for pushing it down to the terminal from the hallway upstairs was I didn't like the idea of not having a secure room for vendors to be able to leave their shit overnight. We were going to have security.
Literally sit overnight and watch the hallway.
And I didn't like that, but I had no other option. When they gave me an option to, mind you, when you get off the elevator, you guys see the terminal right there. It's brand new glass doors that have like a number pad. I was like, this feels secure. I was like, I like secure. I want my vendors to feel secure with their stuff, right? That they don't have to pack their shit up every night. So that was another thing. Because and we argued about it in the office, right? We were like, we'll have a security guard. I was like, we're going to need 2. Because someone's got to be at the other end. And they're like, I'm like, dude, their kids are faster than these lazy security guards. And honestly, people brought it up over the weekend.
Waxy, you said he's lazy.
I brought it up over the weekend, and they were like, people even said, and you got to hope that the security guards aren't just in on it. You know what I mean? Like, if we would have hired somebody through the Showboat or whatever.
It sounded like this was going to be the answer to all of our issues and then some, because also we'd be very condensed into one, so everyone would be able to get where they needed to. If you want to shop. If you want to go to a class. It's good. we lose the themed rooms, but we're still at the showboat. We still got all the foot traffic. And of course, this is all as in the time we were talking about it, that we were super pumped still.
Yes. Yep. It was just like, hey man, it's gonna be a hard pivot. So then, yet again, we do
I
go
took
back.
a whole day off from work, which I didn't want to against my will, because we're super behind. Now I got to go down to the showboat yet again and do another walkthrough, because I'm the only one. Actually, me and Chris didn't see what that room looks like.
Yeah, you guys had no, like, we gave you all the. You guys did the walkthrough before of what the classrooms would look like, and we had tons of footage and everything to reflect on. Now this is essentially starting from scratch. All that shit that we had, dumpster. Other than
The footage, the floor plans, the measurements, gone.
basically all the work from October on, other than classroom stuff, was essentially junked and started over, and looked fucking insane to think about.
So this one's just me, you, and Sean, right? Yeah, it's me, you, and Sean. Oh, yep, because I had like 60 other things to do that day. We walk in, this is right after TumblrCon, and
Chris was there too.
were you? No, I don't think so. I think it was just us three.
Okay.
I went the one time with you and Jason the last time.
Yeah, so me, you, and Sean walk in. Sean's like looking around. We wait for what's her name to come down, and she comes down. She's super nice, and we're talking. And I'm pretty sure I even cut Sean off by accident because I was so anxious about the 2 questions I had to ask. And I'm like, what about parking? Well, what do you mean? And I'm like, I'm gonna have a lot of people coming here. A lot of them are from out of town, and most of them have trailers, and a lot of them will be big trailers, and I need to know that I can tell them where to park. She looked at me. She was like, no problem. Oh, we do this all the time. This is going to be great. We take the trailers and we park them underneath the expo center. She made it sound to me like they were literally going to come in. There was a gentleman that was going to come in and basically valet your trailers underneath.
Yep.
Never said anything about money. And granted, I didn't ask how much it was, but I feel like if it was the price that it was, and that story's coming, they would have said something. I'm a little overwhelmed here. I just got back from TumblrCon. I've been gone for a week. I have 70 million things to do today. I don't need to be at the showboat, but yet here I am again. Can we park? No problems. Tons of parking. Because she's like, well, how many? And I'm like, I don't know, like 15 to 30, like on the low and the high end. She's like, oh, no problem at all. And then, I wanted to know if there was air conditioning, which you guys had already, I feel like, asked a few times too, because it was warm in there at the time. And
Yes.
she said to us that because we had, before she came down, we had already kind of like mapped out a few things. Like we have 1-day vendors, we were going to put them in that hallway.
Yep.
We had, like, all right, let's start doing the thing, right? So she told us that there's no air conditioning in that hallway behind our expo center. And that's because that hallway runs off of the main feed where the elevators and everything were, right? And that the where I'm standing at currently is air conditioned, and it will be on the day of, after the doors shut or something.
Yeah, they just turn it on. They said after load in, we'll close the doors and they'll turn the air on, and that hallway gets air conditioning. They said if you want, because if anyone was there, they saw in between the hallway and the vendor floor, there's a lot of little glass doors in that hallway. They were like, they just prop all them doors open and it just flows the air through.
Yes.
But when the one time Sean and we were in that hallway just getting ready to leave, and we just got caught in a conversation, and we're in that hallway for like 10 minutes, and we just start like baking, because it was like a terrarium, because they have them like glass block windows, and we were just like, I don't want to take the risk of it being a muggy weekend and putting the day vendors in here and it being a bad time. Let's just not have anyone in the hallway, and we'll just make everyone be in the air conditioned room.
We had to quickly, in one day, plan out where all the classrooms were going to go. And mind you, now we're all in the same room, and there's a problem about noise. Are you going to be able to hear the teacher over the teacher next door? How far apart are we going to have to put these? How far apart can we put these?
The major noise concern that we had, Chris can corroborate this, was the ambient sound that the air conditioners would make in the room. We put as anyone saw where we had the classrooms, they were tucked as far away in the back corner as possible.
But that's not where we wanted them at
If anyone sees where them giant big units in the ceiling were that they kept telling us would do the air conditioning and everything, I'm not HVAC, dude. I don't know how to pinpoint what anyone does.
But that's where we were going to have the classrooms.
But noise would come from them, put classes far from them. That was literally part of the planning in the floor plan was air conditioning in the room. Like the sound that it would create was part of why we created the layout that we did.
I know I didn't make all this up either. There's no way. There's just no way that I made all this up, that I just talked to this woman. She looked me dead in my eyes and told me parking's not an issue and that there would be air conditioning in there.
So
everything's taken care of at this point. We're good now. We're 6 weeks out. We got our layout. The boys did the measurements. This is gonna be good.
the worst things that we think that we have going on are like a couple items here and there with some stuff. Like that's like it, like this easy things, you know what I mean? Small stuff. So then we're like, I had to build the bar, which I mean, I guess is kind of small stuff, but I was putting that off because I just wanted to keep getting everything ready for graphically for it, like get all the banners printed and designed, all that stuff, just to make sure that there's enough visual there, right? And then I get the bar built, spend that whole morning getting that thing built. Looked really great, I thought. We get everything together, we get everything loaded. I'm in the truck.
You just skipped the whole fast forward to the bar.
Sorry.
You just went right to the bar.
No, I'm going on the way. We're on the way to the expo now.
You forgot that they took our hotel discount off early. The signs
oh yeah, so
were
there's
there.
some other
the
stuff.
signs were there and we just did not see them because we had kept solving all the problems that Showboat kept pushing at us.
The discount came down early. The VIP party became confusing because of the situation that we were pushed in, right? So we were told the VIP party was always supposed to have food and game cards.
Yes.
And we're like, okay, let's do taco bar. That should be the easiest type thing, right?
Yeah,
like it kind of spreads the types of food. You can do beans, you can do meat, you can do whatever you want, right? Sounds great. We have that ready to go. It's 40 days from the event, and they say, we need a head count for your VIP party. And we're like, can we still sell tickets? Well, we need that head count. We're like, it's tacos. So they gave us, I think, like a day or two more.
Yeah, they gave us like 3 days because it was a Friday. They gave us till like the next Monday, and Sean pushed it till Tuesday.
It was like bonkers. So that's honestly why that became like this, because it was like, okay, so now I can't sell any more VIP tickets because they won't get the same thing that the other people would get. So then I'd have to do like a VIP-ish ticket. So, and then Sarah had a point. She's like, I just want people to be able to like come to the party, and I can't even put tickets on sale anymore. So like, what the fuck do I do? So that's when we were like, all right, I guess we'll just like wristband it and make it a free party. But anyone that had already paid gets the wristband, and then you still get to have the taco bar and the game card. Like that'll be the delineation.
Yeah. And meanwhile,
yet again, something else that we had to just pivot.
Yeah,
that's it. It was just like we had a better plan for the party, a better setup for the party, and Showboat was like, fuck that plan. Do it like this. Like, oh, okay. Guess we will. Got only a couple days till the fucking event's gonna happen, so what the fuck else am I gonna do?
Meanwhile, while all this is going on, I'm doing the classes, getting the classes together and scheduling them out. The schedule was made. The schedule was beautiful. I had a beautiful schedule made that put classes not next to each other, not going on at the same time. Probably something I won't do again. As far as I went into it, is letting each teacher give me a complete list of what they want to use plus who they want it from. That was a little bit overwhelming. So now I'm sourcing what, at the time, I mean, we started with 9 classes and then we ratcheted it back. So I'm sourcing...
Yeah, we went back to 6 classes.
I'm sourcing every single material that you need for per each class, per each how many people are going to go to that class from all of these different vendors. And guys, I feel like I held it together really well in the beginning, like really well. It was a lot of teachers. It was a lot of stuff. And then we started changing all the classes. Literally before all the layout stuff. Remember, we changed the Misfit Makers from like Sunday to Saturday, and then we changed the Crafty Guys. They wanted to come down in price, and it was like changing all these things out, and I was like, bam, bam, got it, boom, boom, got them all. But then at the end, when all of this stuff was going on, it caught up with me.
Yep.
I didn't realize that this vendor hadn't answered me, or that I hadn't answered this one, or that I didn't even start on this one item here, and it was like, okay. And I got them. I got all the things.
Mm-hmm.
It was came together so well in the end. Like, fixed so many last minute problems that popped up. There were so many great companies that came through for us to, really get all of the stuff that we need in the time that we needed. How many people overnighted stuff to us is insane on both our dime and their dime. Like, everyone helped so hard to pull this together. All signs pointed to this is going to be epic.
Everyone, was really just putting in so much. That's every time I just think about all the frustrations, it's just it's so overwhelming because of the effort that everyone all together put in on this. And
the ball was slipping, and I just pulled it back up, and
yeah, we
and meanwhile, during all of this, we're just losing staff members. I got staff members, we had Stephanie was pregnant.
Yeah,
we always planned that. And then, for every different reason, we're just losing people to other things. And I'm like, we don't have any people to put all these things together.
Mm-hmm.
But we did it. Sorta. Well, we did our part.
We did.
Where do we go into next?
I mean, I guess, just like into the actual event itself now. Like, so mind you, that's where I was headed. So it's Friday, right? Like, I just got done building this craft bar. We just got done loading the U-Haul. I had already been there the day before on Thursday because Pipe and Drape was getting done a day before. So dropped off a couple things there, some banners and stuff. Everything was looking good. The floor was looking great, really put together and everything. Sean was there for the majority of the day that day, doing emails and stuff from the room. Both doors are open, so not expecting there to be any error or anything on while those dudes are working and stuff. Then Sean shows up at the office first thing Monday just to make sure everything's good. He actually dropped me off a coffee. It was nice because I had come in really early just to get started on that bar. He hit the ground running, went to Showboat to make sure vendors would be ready. We were back here
Friday,
getting loaded
Monday.
Friday. Oh, I'm sorry,
That's
Friday.
Right.
And it's about like noon or 1-ish that I'm like putting on down to Showboat. And Sean calls me and he's like, "Hey, the air's not working." Huh? He's like, "I'm messaging our same contact, and she said that engineers looking into it."
We're behind at this point. Mind you,
Engineering.
we are very behind at this point because of how understaffed we were. I'm not even on my way to the Showboat. Me and Patty, Emily and Lindsay are still here, and Sandy are all still here packing the last minute things up while you're shipping off with the bulk of everything.
Yes. And then Aubrey and Sam and
Met us up there.
Emma were already there, and they and Sean and me got the truck unloaded and everything.
And then you called me with the news.
Yeah, so then I'm like, "Hey, no air, and it's stuffy." So now you got vendors in there, you got Pipe and Drape in there, and just these two giant mega like turbine fan things that to like kind of just circulate the hot air around.
On one side, because we Pipe and Draped it.
Yeah. Which was actually not great for the Pipe and Drape either. At one point...
Help. Oh my goodness, this is...
It actually knocked the Pipe and Drape down onto, I think, Jessica Flynn's rental?
Jessica Reich's.
Jessica Reich's rental?
I don't know if I
white
ever...
one?
Yeah, I don't know if I ever ran so fast in my life. I'm like, it's going down. It's going down. It's going down. It's down.
Yeah, that was Sunday. So,
Oh, man.
that was just, it was like, yeah, well, what else can happen? Bang! One of those things. But I guess the weekend now, right? So
The air's
multiple
quote, unquote,
different things. The
broken.
air conditioning's fucking insane. Like, I don't even know what the story is. Well, eventually we'll find out. Eventually. We're gonna fucking find out one way or another.
Because you guys are going to hear 3 to 4 different stories from 3 to 4 different people, and some of them being very important people.
So we were told there was a little maintenance dude, right? The little like rat guy that walked around the whole time, and he was helpful, but he's also, you can tell that he's just the fucking scapegoat.
And he's tired.
But he also was the source of multiple different versions of the story, right? We're told that air conditioning's broken, engineering's looking into it. That was the first thing we're told, right? Then we're told that the air conditioning, what was it? The air conditioning does not exist in the vendor floor. It actually exists in the hallway. And the hallway air conditions the vendor floor, but those condensers were stolen. All the coils were stolen from them, so they don't work. Then
That story came from the owner.
Then we were told that the vendor floor, like we said before, the vendor floor one is supposed to air condition the hallway. Then we're told that there's no air conditioning whatsoever.
Which we were actually never told that. We just have your sister's boyfriend, and someone else was like,
Yeah,
no,
there was like
there's no the right pipes.
They were saying there was no condenser lines, I don't think, or something on them. They said it's just gas lines hooked up to all the big units that were up there. But what else? There was more stories, more versions.
I don't think so. When we first walked in, you were told it's broken. Mm-hmm. We had a buddy that went to a show there a few weekends ago, and they also told him it was broken. That does not sound like broken to me. That sounds like it's not either it never worked or you're just never going to fix it. So all we're told at this point before I got there is that it's broken. Once I got there, you guys started chirping at what's her face, and then all of a sudden engineers are working on it. Because that's when I walked by a few of the vendors and I was like, Sean's got engineers looking at it. And we were like, I actually held out hopes, but I knew that they were going to blow some smoke. That's when the next day is when we were told that it does work, but the condensers on the roof are stolen. Okay, that's a very Philadelphia thing. Go get new copper's worth money. Go get new coils, put a lock on it like every other business in the area does.
Somehow they were able to take away my vendor floor and build fucking bumper cars and a roller skating rink on a weekend, so you can't put fucking air conditioning on a roof?
And let's ratchet it back to the beginning of
It's what you want to do. It's not what you can do. It's what you want to do. And they didn't want to put some fucking air conditioning in there.
Let's rewind back
to... But they want
to
to tell you that it's there.
The beginning of this story when we told you that we were being offered their new, renovated, beautiful, just finished Expo Center. Guys, you forgot the coils on the roof. You forgot the AC for your beautiful, just finished Expo Center.
What about their beautiful, just renovated rooms?
I'm gonna hurt somebody. I swear I will.
Because we were also sold on that the rooms were just renovated, and that's exciting because I've used to, when Showboat was still a casino, I would go to Showboat like when I was in my 20s, and I know that the rooms, I was in my 20s, so I didn't give a fuck, you know what I mean? But the rooms were rooms that you would expect to party in when you're in your 20s in a casino.
On the with our Expo discount, these rooms were $600 for the weekend. Outside of that discount, they were almost $1,200 for the weekend. Oh my goodness. And to really get the full brunt of what these rooms look like, you guys got to go to Google and look at the reviews. Read the new reviews. Read the old reviews. Read all the reviews.
Almost everyone, honestly, not even exaggeration, almost everyone that I talked to had to change their room.
I was so embarrassed. I was mortified.
And it's just like, and those are the things like, and then whenever we say like, oh my God, like I'm so sorry, and I can't, and people are like it's not you, but it fucking reflects on us because like ultimately we chose Showboat, but we were also fucking sold a different bill of goods. Like we were told that we have
on their TikTok,
newly renovated rooms, and
on their TikTok right now it shows all the newly renovated rooms, and people are like, how do you even get this room? Like what do you even mean?
Yeah, fake.
Huh. No one came down to talk to us
switch.
At all. Everyone was not going to come face us. So, I mean, we can ping pong all over the place at this point.
I mean, even the parking.
Let's go back to Thursday. Thursday, I'm just relaxing. We got an expo the next day. I got a lot of things to do. Kirsten came down a little early, so she was at the warehouse, and me and Kirsten are at my house because she's staying over for the night, and my phone starts blowing up. It was the text messages first. I think Sandy from Dino's called me. I missed it, so I texted her, hey, is everything okay? No, they weren't sure where to park. They parked in the lot across the street for now, but it was $75 for the night for them to park their trailer and their truck. And I'm like, doesn't sound right. That's not what we talked about. That's definitely not right. So I'm trying to speak with Sean and Jason and also keep Sandy in the loop at this time. This is like, I don't know, Thursday night at like 6 or 7. I'm trying not to bother Sean, even though it's like, because I know what the
8:39.
Yeah, because I know what the weekend's about to. Well, the sun was still up a little bit. That's the only thing I remember. But I'm trying not to bother Sean too much because I know what kind of weekend we're about to have, and I'm like, we're all just having our night. I'm definitely not trying to bother Jason in the game room right now, just getting his last minutes of freedom. But I got to figure this out, right? So we're fine. So far that I know, Sandy's the only one down there just hanging. She says she's good for now. We're figuring things out. And then Sara from Banff calls me. She also has the same problem. She can't park. So she's calling me and I'm like, all right, I'm going to figure it out because apparently, a lot more people are showing up and I really don't want, it's crazy to pay. I would have wrote Sandy a check real quick and been like, thank you for, being the only one that was, what's the word I'm looking for? Put out by this, but now everyone's showing up. Inconvenienced. So I get off the phone with Sara and she's sending me text messages and I'm like, she said she was told by the Expo Center, the parking dude, that the room that I'm speaking of underneath the Expo Center is tiny. It's not going to fit all these trailers. It would barely fit anything. 2, to park at the showboat with the truck and the trailer was going to be $100 a night. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right. And that's what my text to her said. So I sent that to Jason and Sean. Sean sent that to the girl, the Expo girl, and she's like, no, that's right.
Yeah, I saw it. Sean was like, yeah, she said, no, that's right. And the parking person said that we never worked anything out for parking.
The hell I didn't. This woman told me that she was going to rope them in. What's there to work out if you asked her for good?
Like, what do you mean?
Because she was going to rope
That's what I'm saying. Like, what do you mean we didn't work anything out for parking? When we talked to you and said, hey, our vendor's going to be able to park, that's working out parking.
They're already making me look bad in front of all my vendors, and I'm sure...
And we're not even there yet.
And I know that people were there Thursday night that just didn't want to bother me or call me, and I'm so sorry that you guys felt like you couldn't, because you always bother me if you guys are coming to my event. It's my responsibility to make sure you guys are taken care of, and this was ridiculous.
Yeah, so
we knew we were walking into a
it started
crazy,
like
chaotic...
it started like right away. Yeah, with that. And then from there on, essentially it was just fucking chaos at every turn. It was like anything that we had planned or tried to plan or tried to do, it was literally like they intentionally were trying to squeeze the fucking life out of it. That's what it was becoming, right? It was to the point that the hallway walking into the vendor floor smelled like shit the whole fucking weekend, right? Like, insane, because at no point of any of my walkthroughs did it smell like shit in that hallway. But my whole weekend, it's like they turned on the shit smeller.
Can we do a timeout real quick and just tell a good story to break this up?
No, well,
you don't want to put none of the good stuff in there real quick?
We can't. What do you want to fit that's good?
So
I'm still on the shit.
Yeah, but that one's a real bad one. So let's give you a little bit of positivity before we continue on, shall we?
All right.
So I'm finally at the Expo Center. We're getting everything pulled off the truck, and this very frantic woman comes up to me and asks me, Who at this show sells sublimation tumblers? And I'm like, no one.
Oh, yeah,
I knew that right off the top of my head because we don't have any tumbler vendors here. She just looked like she was about to cry. She's like, okay, all right. And she looked like she was figuring something. I'm like, why? What's wrong? She's like, I forgot my white sublimation tumblers and my whole booth relies on them. I'm literally here for nothing. If I don't have white sublimation tumblers, there's literally no reason for me to be here. And I'm just not sure what I can do. I think I'm just going to have to drive back to my house and grab them. And I'm like, cool, you can drive. Like, a lot of people flew. Like, this wasn't even an option. I'm like, all right, great. Like, and I asked her, I was like, how long of a trip is it? She goes 7 hours one way. I was like, oh. And I was just like, what am I gonna do for you? What can I figure? I have sublimation tumblers. Jason has sublimation tumblers. We have sublimation tumblers. And I said it just like that. I'm like, I have them. I'll go back to, like, if you can wait till tomorrow, someone has to run back to the warehouse and grab something and let my dog out, so I can get you a case or two. She's like, what? Like, white 20-ounce skinny sublimation tumblers? I was like, yes, from the same company you ordered them from. I have them. She's like, oh my, like, I still say, I said it this morning, the look of relief on her face was a look that I'll never forget. It was just like solid relief, like, wow. Because at one point she's like, I think I can have someone meet me halfway. I mean, halfway of a 7-hour trip is still a very long trip. That's a 7-hour round trip.
I was going to say, you're still at a 7-hour trip.
She literally was about to cry, and that was one of the things that I took away from this weekend, is how good that made me feel to just be able to help her. And not only that, but I was like, you know what? Wait. Let's go ask Jason real quick, because I'm signing him up to grab stuff. I'm signing him up to give away his tumblers. Let's go make sure this is okay. And I walk over and briefly tell Jason the story. He's been over getting stuff out of a box. He's like, yeah, I'll go get, definitely. Oh yeah, how many do you need? Do you want me to bring 2 cases, 3 cases? Like what? She's like, again, looked like she was about to cry because of just, didn't even skip a beat. You were like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we were able to go, you actually went back that night, grabbed some other things, and those tumblers were there before she walked in that vendor floor, and I could not wait to tell her that. That is a friendship I don't think will ever shake. She was so grateful, and I was so happy that I could do that, like we could do that for her.
As like I said, I really mainly, my focus was for the vendors to have a good time, like I said. And then obviously if you're making money, you're having a good time. So with that, I was hoping that it would be a trickle down effect, but I really just wanted the vendors to be able to reflect and be like, hey, that was like worth my weekend. You know what I mean? And whatever I got to do to kind of make that happen is what I wanted to make happen. And that's where so many of the frustrations in what Showboat did to the weekend, came through. Because there were, like you said, you want to tell a positive story, because there were a lot of positive stories. And you can go on social media and look at all the videos and stuff and the fun that people had when they got together. And like our event created that, it created that opportunity for all these people from our space to meet face to face and to hang out and to make some memories and have a good time. And that's like the whole reason why we created the event. That is why, like I said, I was like, if you guys saw TGG's booth, it was like the most bare / least put together booth. And that's because TGG making money at my event is the least of my priorities. I was way down here. I like obviously want to like show out and like present ourselves well because we are a main sponsor of the event and everything, but like ultimately if TGG's store and our ability to make money over the weekend had to get slighted for everybody else to have more of a chance to have a good weekend and make money, then that's what I was going for. Like I said, I would have fucking not even had our own vendor booth at all if we didn't have the space. You know what I mean? If there wasn't space for TGG and I had other vendors that wanted to sign up, I would have opted to close our fucking doors for the weekend and gave it up. Like that I didn't create the event for the glitter guy to make money. I created the event for just like entertainment value and just creativity. Like I said, the venue itself being creative was so very important to me. And like,
we should have known that it was going to be a shit show when they refused to give us toilet paper for the bathrooms.
Now we can go back to the shit.
Did you like my joke there?
Yes. So, yeah, like what you were saying and what I was saying. You can't even walk in the doors on a positive note. It
didn't start too bad. All we knew was that the bathrooms didn't have toilet paper. No problem. We'll get it fixed. This is Friday. And we're like, complaining about the toilet paper. And then it was over because I'm like, well, they'll put toilet paper in there. No, they won't.
It was like, apparently like it was pulling teeth to get fucking toilet paper. It was insane. Like, people had to, like, argue with the maintenance people. And I saw the, like, maintenance people a few times throughout the weekend. So they were there. It's not like, oh, there was just no one to do it. They just didn't do anything. Like, everyone's honest agreement on what they believe happened anytime some maintenance went to the bathrooms, that they walked in the bathroom, took a bit of bleach, threw it on the floor, and walked out of the bathroom. And that's it. They didn't restock anything. Trash cans never got the trash bags changed out during the event the entire weekend. It was fucking gross.
Yeah.
Like, we were just filling boxes with trash and shoving them in the corners to get them away from attendees and shit. It was like, and we were messaging constantly. What's funny is one of the things, it was like the representatives for PC Events and Showboat, because PC Events is the ones that are in charge of that space, were like fucking children, because we're like, hey, there's no toilet paper. And it should be like, okay, we're going to get someone down there to put toilet paper in. The response is, we need cars moved from the vendor floor.
That fired people up too.
One, go on PCEvents.com right the fuck now, or theterminal.com, and their home video is the whole hallway, Harley Davidsons, the whole vendor floor, Can-Ams and fucking dirt bikes. And we were told there can't be any vehicles in the floor. They can't be any. They gotta get out. They gotta get out. They gotta get out.
$25. There's $100 in here. Y'all gotta get this out of here.
That's all they were doing, was counting the fucking parking money, right? So they force everyone to get the shit out of the vendor floor, which was like, and then they're like, we have to have everything out before we can even close the doors to be able to like turn on the fans, and like they were like that, and that's when we can turn on the air conditioning. And then they're like, oh well, we're like, well, can we like maybe have the doors open for like airflow through if you guys can't fucking air condition this space? Oh well, we can't have the doors open. The doors have to be shut. Okay, and in order to shut the doors, the vehicle's got to go out. All right. The next day, I was asked, do you guys want the doors open or shut? There was vehicles parked inside for half the day. Nobody gave a fuck. It was literally like, depending on what hour of the day it was, the rule set changed.
Absolutely.
It was insane. And then now you can go to the party stuff, to where the parties, mind you, I should have made at least 2 more signs for the parties for people to know where to go. That is a short sight on my part. It is also because of, like Sara said, the 6-week pivot where we put everything in a room that was way farther away. So huge miss on a few extra signs from me to explain closer to registration and the front desk where the upstairs area was. But people did what you would expect them to do, and they asked the front desk, hey, there's supposed to be an after party for the event that's in the terminal. Can you tell me where that is? It's upstairs somewhere. How do I get there? Oh, that's canceled. That's what people were met with. All weekend, both parties. That's canceled. That's canceled. So then we start hearing that, and we sent a message to the same girl, this rep. Hey, can you tell the desk to stop telling our attendees that our event's canceled? That's absolutely fucking active and happening like right this second upstairs. Yeah, sure. So then it gets fixed, and then shift changes again, and rinse and repeat, and here we are, just canceled. The escalators that I have multiple videos of me like running up them and stuff. They're right behind the registration table, to kind of really easy to understand how to get upstairs. Had fucking ropes in front of them all weekend. People asked, how do we use the escalators? Escalators are only turned on if there's events upstairs. That's fucking weird, because I had parts of my event hosted upstairs the whole weekend.
And we paid a lot of money for that upstairs.
Like, insane. So no communication between like PC Events, Showboat, all their like inter people. No communication happens in there like at all. Like I said, obviously for them to be able to take our whole vendor floor, drywall it fucking shut, blast all these walls out, install bumper cars and shit, and like just not tell us. That's why I said when I showed up there randomly for that Misfits thing, I asked her to her face, I was like, if I did not just show up, when would you have told me this happened? Like, when? When would I have found out that I have no fucking vendor floor to be able to even do these pivots that I did? When am I going to be compensated for the fucking hours that I fucking put into this that are just thrown in the trash? Like, it's a lot. And like we said, there was writing on the walls a couple different times, but like also when you're putting so many different months and time and effort into something and you're super excited about it, like it's very hard to kind of pull the cord when you see those things, you know what I mean?
The big hit for me, like they were all blows for sure, and then the biggest blow I think that really, it was like, you know, what is it, the straw for the camel's back
Yep.
was Saturday night before the parties, some of the vendors started breaking down.
Yep.
And they were going to leave. Like, and they weren't, I know they're not one-day vendors. And I'm just looking at them packing up and leaving, and I'm like,
They don't want to deal with the heat no
I
more.
don't even blame them, because I honestly think if it wasn't my event, there's a big chance that I would have packed up too. Like, when I tell you that this hallway smells like people pissed in hot buckets and left it out in a hot, boxed-in room for days, like, it smelled like
It was like sewage in the hallway.
sewage, yes.
Yeah,
It smelled like
and you could smell it through the wall by some of the vendors.
By Saturday afternoon, it smelled like sewage. It was embarrassing.
And that's the first thing you were met with.
That's the first thing you're met with when you walk into my
go to the
event,
front
is that
door,
it smells like
Check
sewage.
in, get your wristband, walk through these doors, get blasted with the smell of shit, get to like embrace my big sign that I worked on as you're smelling shit. So it's like almost just like, oh, this is gonna be great. And then you just like turn the corner, go into the vendor floor, and just get like blasted in the face with a heat wave.
And the only thing I'm thinking about is if these vendors were making money, they would not have gone home. They would have embraced the heat. But people aren't coming in because, one, the heat, two, they're getting told that it's canceled, so they came to buy tickets at the front door, and a lot of people asked to buy tickets at the front door, especially all my local people, and they were told it's canceled. And then third, the smell. Mm-hmm. So the people not enough people are
and there's
coming in.
no toilet paper. Like you said, the toilet paper all weekend, people couldn't get toilet paper. And I had multiple like attendees say that they asked like maintenance. They're like,
Finally,
they
Sunday afternoon.
somebody said to one of the maintenance, like, can you put toilet paper in the bathroom? And they said, no speak English. And it's like,
You wear toilet paper every day.
you're
You don't
fucking
know.
with me. You're the bathroom attendant. I know you know what toilet paper means in every language possible. Don't fuck with me. You know what I mean? And it's hot. It's hot, and I need to wipe my butt right now. Things got, you know what I mean? Like, I got swamp ass because of your fucking venue. Give me some toilet paper.
It was wild.
I
was so
It's like I said, they were
out.
trying to make it a fucking bad time. Heat could be easier to deal with if they accommodated. You know what I mean? If they were like anything. If other things were tightened up, you can deal with other things. The heat, I don't think honestly anyone would have been able to look past. That made every small issue compounded.
Worse.
Because it was like, oh, I don't have this and it's hot. I fucking don't have toilet paper and it's fucking hot. Like, it's always and it's hot.
By Saturday, before everyone left the vendor floor, Jason and Sean are upstairs trying to get the Barbie party started and everything, and I'm downstairs still with the vendors, and I'm just like so bummed. And I was talking to two of the vendors at the same time, and I'm like, they're like, you need to get some of your money back. You need to get, and I'm like, I'm gonna try. Let's get through this weekend, and then I'm definitely gonna, roll some heads. And I'm like, if I can get some of my money back, I would refund every single vendor here, because it's just not fair. Like, I know this isn't what we all signed up for, and it's my responsibility because, we chose the place. Because everyone's like, no, like, that's crazy. I'm like, but like, I choose the place, and I'm trying to talk to them about it, and then my phone rings, and it's you.
Yeah, that's what that long walk, like Sarah said, we were up at the Barbie party, and Sean and I are doing the long walk up to the hallway, and we're obviously venting about how the day went, right? Fucking abysmal with all that shit with the environmental issues. And like Sarah said, Sean said it too, he's like, maybe we can do something. I was like, we're doing something. Like, something's going to be done, because this is not what the fuck I wanted, and it's not what the experience that I wanted any of our vendors to have. So I obviously can't. Something was suggested to me by a vendor to make Sunday's admission free in order to make it more worthwhile to the vendors that are sticking it out. And I was already trying to figure something out, and I said, Sean and I start discussing it, and I'm like, I hear the suggestion, not something I can necessarily execute, especially in the moment, because we sold weekend passes, we sold Sunday passes. That becomes a lot murkier waters than it seems. Just being able to say, hey, it's free now, because then you get a lot of blowback there. Something I can do, though, is at least make it easier for my vendors to be profitable, in that take away the vendor fee from the weekend for the booth spaces, right?
figure
That's
it
what I
out
said. I
later.
said, well, even if I got to take it out of I'll figure out where the fuck it comes from. We'll figure it out later. But the vendors deserve their money back. In my eyes,
It was
they
wild.
didn't sign up for what they ended up with. I didn't sign up for what the fuck I ended up with either, but it's not their prerogative to try and fucking fight it out. And I don't think that they should. It was part of my discussion. Sean was like, you want to try and wait and see until after what happens and stuff, send some emails first and see like what the climate is of everything. And I was like, no, because the vendors don't deserve to wait for that fight.
And we don't know how long that fight could last.
No fucking clue. And I just don't care, man. Like I said, I didn't create the fucking event to make money.
And if you guys have been following Craft Tea and me thus far, and if you have, or if you haven't, go back to the ADP episode. Maybe we'll make sure it's available down below. I fight. I'm going to get something out of this. They're not going to walk away. I'm going to get justification. We're going to find some justification for you guys somehow.
There's one thing that was
For all of us.
that was proven to us, that Showboat does this to everyone. They didn't just fucking do it to us. So, like I said, if I got to go and reach out to every other event coordinator that's scheduled to be in that space and that has been scheduled to be in that space in the past year and the next year, I'll fucking do it. So that's actually not that much, It's just email lists. And I'm positive that the work's going to do itself because they're going to have fucking problems. And we know that the ones in the past already had problems. Add that to the problems we had, and you got a fucking whole shit sandwich that I feel like PC Events and Showboat is going to have to deal with.
For the most part, though, for what was going on, the classes did really well. There was a lot of hiccups in the classes, things that definitely were caused by me, forgetting this or not doing this to the amount that we needed. Very minor things that each one of my teachers that had a hiccup pivoted really, really well. I'm so happy and proud of them, especially Jessica Flynn, because Flynn had the most amount of people in her class, the most amount of in-person. She had the most amount of supplies that had to be sourced from the most amount of different suppliers. And she went first.
The highest power demand
She
as
went
well.
first on Saturday, my very first class after all the craziness. And then she had the absolute most need for power. And there was another thing that I wasn't quite ready for, although I should have been, because she did say epoxy. She was going to put her fast cast in there. I wasn't accounting for them using it. So that takes more outlets later on. So I'm trying to tell Jason, babe, I'm having trouble with Jessica's class. And this is probably about 25 minutes before the classes start, so I felt like we still had a few minutes. And I'm like, I'm having trouble figuring out the power, and I'm really starting to get frustrated. It's hot. So Jason's finishing up at the craft bar, and he comes down to help me, and he really sees what I'm up against.
I don't think Sarah honestly understood the full extent of the
Wall
issue.
outlet. That's what we had. It had 4 outlets in it, but there was one little box on the wall.
It had 2, actually. It only had 2. That one.
We were blessed.
It was wild. It would make sense that I didn't see the fire marshal the whole weekend because I'm positive that fucking place isn't zoned for that shit in the first place. But if he would have taken a gander at what I created to make that happen, he probably wouldn't have been happy.
But
hey, we fucking made it happen.
And Jessica also had the most complicated cup in her class too, like the most intricate one with the most amount of steps, and she handled it so well, especially for starting over an hour late. Not only did she handle it amazing, but all of the people that took her class handled it amazing, because they just had to stand outside of the black curtains in the heat, and I mean stand.
Oh, they had to stand up a few times in the middle of class just to let us crawl under their legs to
and
adjust
not be
power.
told fully what's going on, because I don't have time to stand here and tell you the full story. I just got to tell you guys that we're moving a few things around, and I really appreciate your patience with this. So literally moving all of the tables, and we got a picture. Maybe we'll cut that one in. Good old Melinda. But literally, Jason had it all set up, and then we realized we need one more outlet per person. So I had to go under there in the top and scooch in between everyone and move all the outlets down.
It was
so
hot. So that, like I said, and everyone's fallible, right? Like, we were going to have things that we forgot and issues we had. I do believe that our issues were compounded because we had to deal with the fucking issues that Showboat kept presenting us with. But still
It would have went way
we had
smoother.
we had some problems, right? So like I said, the power thing is something that I ultimately still kind of blame on myself, because when we had to pivot back down to the terminal, I should have went back to the drawing board on each thing and rechecked all my boxes, because like I said, when we did all of our walkthroughs, I did outlet counts in every room for the classrooms. I had all those boxes checked. When we pivoted back down here and we figured out where these classrooms were going to be moved and everything,
all those boxes were checked. We were set.
well, that's why I said, I said, I'm going to put some blame on myself. Like, I'm not infallible. Like, I should have went back and rechecked that box when it comes to power distribution, and I did not.
But our brain said checked off what's next.
So, another thing, should not have scheduled the most popular teacher first. You're going to have issues. Like I said, we're all fallible. You're going to have startup issues. Shit's going to happen. And having the most stacked class first is not the one trial by fire, right? Like it, and we said it, the smoothest classes of the weekend were the last classes of the weekend.
Sunday
because
went
that's
really
when
smooth.
you just like are able to iron the things out by then. So hindsight's 2020. Mistake there. It was a scheduling mistake there. But
I appreciate her so much, though, for how well she handled it. And she even said in the middle of her class that she apologized to everyone for how intricate that cup was, and maybe it wasn't the best idea for it. And at that point, I'm like, I mean, you guys and Jess and the class in a whole were handling it beautifully, and the cups came out amazing, and everyone got to do it.
That's what I said. I had the conversation with a few different people, and the only person I didn't really get to have it with was like Jess herself, and it was a little frustrating on my part because I wanted to have the chance to talk to her about it after, but the tumblers that they all came out with, being able to teach under duress like that. Being able to, even if nothing was
hot.
That's all I'm saying. Even if nothing was forgotten, even if all the power was perfect in that room or whatever, it was hot as fuck, man. So like being able to concentrate under heat in front of people while you're on fucking jet lag from a long flight, doing all this shit, and them tumblers ended up looking like that. I'm like, there's a reason why you're the fucking best at the fucking tumbler game. You know what I mean? Like she's good. She's fucking good. And fucking all them tumblers were, I was looking at them like, dude, I don't know. I wish I took the goddamn class because it's really good. She
definitely worked great under pressure and pivoting. And I mean, all the teachers, not everyone had to pivot. Some classes went flawless without issues, of course, but I just really appreciate everyone. It wasn't even like a fight with anybody. It was like, I came up to people and I was like, this is what I'm facing. And they were like, no problem. I could do this. And it was quick. They were like, I got this. I have this. They'll go get that and we'll do this. And I'm like,
it becomes that much easier to solve the problems too when we're transparent about them. Because if like the Shakira thing, not having the tumblers for hers, that's a major fucking problem, right? But if we were not transparent, essentially as soon as you figured it out with her, like, hey Shakira, we're having a major issue, like I don't have your tumblers, and she's like, Melanie should have them. Well, that's not even anything that would have even, maybe we would have eventually got there, but it was just like,
Melanie, and that story was actually kind of funny because I'm over there, she's like, do you have Shakira asked for her sleeves and her tumblers early so that she could start prepping them, right? So I'm like, sure, no problem. Your class isn't for a little while, and if you want to prep them, sure. So I go get the sleeves, gave them to her, and I go to get the tumblers, and I'm like, I don't think that I have them. And I'm thinking, it's just like, where are they? Okay, we oversold your class. I ordered them. FedEx trying to also ruin my life. They held them back. They weren't even at the warehouse. I have 7% on my cell phone. I have to run to the bathroom to put out a fire in there because there was someone crying in there, and actually someone that I really care about too. Not that it mattered who it was, but I'm trying to get to her to make sure she's okay. I got to find these tumblers, and if not, I got to find a replacement. So I called Jimmy and I'm like, hey, I don't have the tracking number. I got 7%, and the fastest way to track these tumblers to see if they're at the warehouse or where they are at the warehouse is to call you, have you track them while I'm running to put out another fire. So he's like, all right, let me call you right back. He calls me right back, and he's like, there's a problem. And I'm like, what? And he tells me that they will be at my warehouse on Monday. And he is panicked. I heard it in his voice. He sounded like he was about to freak out and cried. He's like, I swear and I'm like, Jimmy, I know you guys. I know that you did everything right. This is not on you. I'm looking at the tracking. This is on FedEx. I'm going to figure it out, but I got to go. Bye. And I'm like, so put out the fire in the bathroom. Run to Shakira to put that fire out. And I'm talking to Shakira and I'm like, I can mail everyone their cups and everything. And I was like, I got plumps. I got 24 plumps. And Melanie's here listening to it all too. And she had a suggestion. I can't remember what her suggestion was. And then we're all talking and we decided on, we're just going to have to do the sleeve and mail the cups to them. And Melanie's like, would you want to buy some off me? And I'm like, Melanie, you have them. Start with that. Do not leave that for last. You have 16-ounce plumps here in this building. She's like, yeah, we brought a whole bunch to sell. I'm like, invoice me. I'm taking them all. Taking 14 of them. I was like, oh my God. And that was the fault of nobody. And it just worked out so perfect.
Like I said, those are the types of issues that you kind of expect. You know what I mean? You're like some things like that are going to arise, and then that was kind of the point too of being able to have a great community like we have come together so that we can all kind of get through the problems together. And it was really working out that way. And I honestly believe that if we didn't have all the environmental fucking issues that we had, that I would ultimately be reflecting on the weekend as a positive. I do think, like you said, that there's a ton of positive to reflect on. Like I said, you go on social media, you look at Quigley's videos, Shakira's videos. I saw Flynn post some videos, Taylor Duncan post videos,
Crafty
Melanie,
guys.
Crafty guys, and they all had great times. Dino's, they were out on the beach, walking the boardwalk. That's what I wanted. I wanted people to take their downtime and stuff and not think about having to sell shit and be able to go and soak up some sun, because it was actually a nice sunny weekend too, because we had a shit ton of rain and thunderstorms for the past 3 months. We've been drowning up here. And then it was wow, it's a really sunny, nice weekend, which ironically turned into a fucking negative because of the air situation.
Yeah.
And
it was very apparent to me by Sunday, even parts of mostly on Sunday, how much people noticed how much we were trying. That we were not causing these issues, we were getting them thrown at us left and right, and that we were trying to fix them. And a lot of things stuck out for me, but I do remember, because we got the Turners from Sandy and Dino, so when you get them from them, they drive them down if they're going to your convention, which is perfect, saved us on shipping. So he's delivering everything Friday, and Dino told me, do not leave these poles out. They will go missing. And I was like, what? That really happens? And they were like, yeah, it's, they will go missing. And I'm like, okay, we'll be fine. So they put all the Turners out with all the arms out for me, got me the foams that I needed for the first few classes, and everything seems to be going fine. I'm not counting no poles. So Sunday comes around and I see Dino leaving the classroom center with his little wagon, and he's like, your poles were missing this morning. And I noticed he came to the classroom center to check on them poles, because I think he had a feeling that something might have been up, and I did not move any of the poles. And he said that he did not count enough. He does not know if maybe I put them somewhere else or if someone might have accidentally swiped it, but he put some more back there for me, and he put them in a safer spot. And I just he was just trying to put out a fire before I noticed that it was one. And that's just one example of many over the weekend of how amazing these vendors and friends were in, the grand scheme of things. And I'm not trying to cry, but it might happen by the end of the episode. It was just really amazing how everyone just I didn't even have to ask them to step up or anything. It was just Sarah and Jason are obviously having a really rough time right now. Let's see what we can do.
You said at some point that someone said they're Jason's knees look really not good right now. They're purple or something like that. Because I was just, I'd forgotten my knee brace too. And it was physically, that Friday night, I ended up going home. I was there for 10 minutes of the Dad Rock party, and then I had to leave because there was just more things that I had to get in the morning. So I took the U-Haul truck home. And honestly, I was like, well, that's fine. I'll get to hang out with my dog. I was just lay in bed. I never physically hurt so bad ever. I've done I've played a lot of sports. I've done a lot of, active things throughout my life.
For a living. You climb poles.
I'm a journeyman lineman. I've climbed fucking, 200-foot towers.
With hooks.
Physically, from my hair to my toes, everything was in utter pain. I couldn't. It was insane. And I like took a bunch of a leave. I wish that I had an ice bath, found some pizza to reheat, laid in my bed, and I woke up and I honestly felt really great when I like got up on Saturday morning. Like physically, a lot of it like came back. I think my body was just like, please just stop, you know, for a minute. It was one of those things where you're restless. Like I didn't even have anything else to do, but I'm like, I kept getting up and I'm just like, just stop, you know? And it was,
This
thankful.
is one of the good things that happened this week.
That was absolutely one of the positive. Fancy Nancy, I finally got to meet her because, like Sarah said, that I was fangirling building up to it because she keep coming up in my feed with all these amazing 3D sculpts.
And we're definitely feeling more comfortable going out there and telling people, like, hey, like, we're slightly obsessed with you. But, like, I don't know why it was weird before. We just felt like we were, like, I don't know.
We're weird.
We were weird, but we didn't realize that we're all weird. So when I saw Fancy Nancy comment on one of my things, I'm like, we're slightly obsessed with you. And she's like, what? So when she came to the expos, we were really excited to meet her. And I kept checking in on all the classes periodically. So I went to check in on Shakira's class and I was just talking to everyone. And Nancy said, I don't think she waved me over, but she said something. And I was like, oh, I'm coming back there to check on your cups. So I went back there and Nancy goes, so you haven't been on social media this weekend, have you? I was like, no. And she's like, I tagged you in some stuff. And I was like, you know what? Good. And I grabbed the chair in the corner. I was like, because I'm going to take a break. And I put the chair right next to her. And I'm like, I'm on Facebook. Because as soon as you say social media to me, I'm like, well, obviously it's Facebook. And I'm like, do you know how I could see just tags? And she's like, well, what are you looking on? And I'm like, Facebook. She's like, no, look on TikTok. So I go on TikTok. And found the tag. And I'm looking at it. And I'm watching this video. And it's got the expo banner on. And I'm like, cool. It's going to be a shut the heck up. And I saw it and I was like, shut up. No. And it's this in the video and everyone at the expo is holding it. And I saw, and I'm like, but that's not here, right? And then I saw Aubrey holding it. I'm like, where is it? I was like, this is here. She's like, it's been here all week. And I'm like, can I have it? She's like, yeah, sure. You just got to go get it. I'm like, I got to go. I'll be right back. She's like, it's at Dimensional's booth. It's been there all week. And I'm like, oh my God. So I run over to find Melanie and I'm like, where's my cup? And she's like, what cup? And she has a skull in her hand. They had given one of the skull sleeves to Taylor Duncan to airbrush because he wanted some to airbrush and it looked really good. So she's like, look. And I'm like, that looks really beautiful. Where's my cup? And she's like, what cup? I'm like, stop playing me, Melanie. Where's my cup? And she's like, oh, she's like, I don't know where your cup is. I was like, I bet you don't. And I'm already like in the shelves, like, there's the cup. Look at this freaking thing.
He's incredible.
And Nancy, there's no way in the world that she could have known that I was having not the greatest weekend. And this was yet another pick me up for the weekend because this was super unexpected. It was super cute in her delivery. Like the video that they made, they took pictures with this everywhere.
Yeah, she used the sphere sleeve to make that.
That was definitely another one of the positives. And it was at a time that I really needed it because I had no idea what she was going to say to me. I had no idea what kind of video. I was getting tagged in videos all weekend. I just figured that they were doing something goofy at the expo. Yeah. It was a really good time.
I mean, everybody had fun doing the go-karts again.
Yes, that was a big thing. They made shirts for it and everything.
The arcade's fun, has tons of games and everything. Like I said,
half the cards that we purchased don't work, but whatever. Like literally bought a ton of cards to give out to people. Weren't even really able to give them out very much because half the people couldn't find the party, and the other half it didn't matter because their card didn't work. Their arcade card. Why are you selling me blank cards? That is.
Yeah, that's just like another addition to the stack of shit. But
all in all, although this episode is probably very long at this point, and I'm very happy if you guys have listened to this thus far, and lots of details have been left out just to be able to get through the whole story and tell you guys a lot of the big parts. There's so many things that went on that were definitely left out of this, and this is absolutely not the last of this story because I feel like we are very slighted and I feel like we were treated very unfairly, and I'm fired up, so I'm ready for a fight. I told Jason I'm not fighting anymore because for some reason we keep getting into these situations with companies that just take our money and don't give us what we paid for. But I mean, I don't know any of those battles that I fought that we haven't at least got some kind of justification.
Yeah, and I think a lot of
Figure it out.
a lot of the questions that we've had and will probably continue to have is, what does this year mean for Gase in the future and
Definitely
stuff.
not at the showboat.
And that's really the only solid, concrete answer that I can give is that
So far away from the
110% that I'm never going to that fucking place again. I actually
might have it at the ocean to spite them.
One of my friends messaged me this morning and asked how it went. Tom had messaged me and was like, how did the showboat go? Because they've helped work events there before with like car show shit. I was actually remember that when he said that, and I literally said fuck showboat was my response to him. I'm like, because like that's how my weekend went, you know what I mean? I have no other like real description for it. Also interesting, there was a shootout in front of our Airbnb. That was a good one, right? Chris was there for more of that, I think, than I was.
Wow. So we were just coming back from the day, and I think it was Barbie party we were coming back from.
Yeah, because Jason hadn't slept there Friday night. This was his first time at the Airbnb.
My first time to the Airbnb, yeah. And I heard it was nice. That's why I asked. I was like, how is the Airbnb?
So comfortable.
Really nice.
You should put a 5-star on them. Make some kind of positivity out of this weekend.
Okay.
You're only
I
rating
can't
the
take
inside
any
of the
stars
house.
for the bullets.
You only...
You lose a star per bullet.
No, per bullet that enters your house. There was no bullets in that house.
And they can only vouch for their property. They can't control what happens around them.
But you know what? We definitely found ways to laugh and have fun. Like even at the house, both nights we all stayed up a little late talking and we don't get that kind of. We do here, but not like in the atmosphere that we were there. We got to meet your wife, your mom, and your dad.
That's fine. Yeah.
I didn't get to meet your mom.
I did.
She was there too. Yeah.
Oh, when she brought the seafood feast?
Oh.
Yes, she did. Well, that was the first night.
That's what I'm saying. I missed the seafood feast, so
Jason
that's probably
missed
when I would have met your mom.
Yeah, they went to Carmine.
Nah.
He missed the feast and your mom.
Yeah.
But that was pretty nice, and those are things that might not have happened yet until without the event, And it was a good time.
The event was supposed to bring people together. That's really, the core of it. Bring people together and have fun, and hopefully along the way make some money across the board. Everybody,
For
like
everyone.
that's it. Yeah, like everybody.
The
like I said,
teachers, the vendors, and
correct. That's what
maybe TGG, but it's not important.
And it should all be homogenous. Like if everyone's coming together and everyone's having a good time, generally that's going to kind of create an atmosphere that money's going to be made, because if everyone's kind of, you know what I mean, like through positivity, and it's not, there was just a lack of positivity to be had.
And you know what? Walking away from this, though, everything that you just said has been our core values since day one, and a lot
Always.
of people could attest to that have been with us since day one, but a lot of people don't truly know that. They're like, okay, if I say I'm slighted on a glitter, I know that they're going to make it right. You know what I mean? If I complain, I might get a 10% discount, but no, like we truly feel it in our gut. And this was the first time that we got to prove it. Not that I want to prove this thing, especially in the way we did, that we take this so super seriously, and like the way that it all went down, like I literally couldn't even make that up if I tried, and all the receipts are there. My call log. Sarah from Banff was there to corroborate my story. If you're talking about the showboat, it's corroborate. It's just who we are as people, and not that I'm glad that we had to go through that to show people, but like I really truly feel like people see us, and
it was without hesitation, like it was
really
a no-brainer for us,
for how we are as people, and it was definitely like I could see it in their eyes.
Like I said, even internally, we had some pushback with it,
and it made me feel really good.
And anybody that we told outside of it too, like what we're doing and stuff with the refunds and stuff, are just like, I feel like you don't necessarily have to do that. You know what I mean? Is kind of their answers, and I necessarily do feel like we have to do that,
and
that's just
immediately.
it. So, yeah.
It sucks, but we're going to figure it out in other ways. And this good karma is going to come back on us. And I truly believe that it might not come back on us right away. It might take a little bit, but putting that goodness out in the world is definitely always going to come back to everyone that does that. And if you could take anything away from this, it's, make lemonade out of lemons.
That's what I said it throughout the weekend. People were asking, how's the weekend going? I was like, we're making lemonade! That's what I kept saying. Like, what?
I remember
I got nothing but lemons!
The Craft Bar looked amazing. And
it's
and
in about
Kirsten-
8 pieces right now.
It did not come off the truck well, but Kirsten really held that Craft Bar down well. We didn't give her much direction except here's a bunch of stuff that we use to craft and let other people use it to craft and guide them along the way. And also market yourself in your own Maple Street and everything. And for thanks, you know what I mean? I wanted to do so much more by her, but we just ran out of time and she took it and ran with it and it was great.
No,
It could be.
I never didn't see people doing stuff at the Craft Bar, so that's
a great idea.
I loved that. So I definitely think that area was a hit, and that was part of the things that went into our planning. That by default, if you just buy a GA ticket, you need to have a certain level of entertainment that comes with that, and that was supposed to be with demos, with the Craft Bar, and the photo area, all that stuff. So,
But I'm all talked out, y'all. But I got so much more to say.
no, I agree. I think we got through the bulk of it. And like I said, for next year, it's just like a stay tuned thing right now. Because
Stay tuned for the rest of this year, actually. Because I'm not done.
I just mean for
I know what you meant.
a future
number three.
case. Because I was 100% saying, absolutely not. And it's... we have a lot to go through. We have a lot to discuss. So I don't think it's a necessarily an absolutely not.
It's just an absolutely not the showboat.
It's just an absolutely fucking not at the showboat. And with that, let's get back to work, guys.
The kettle and never bring the kettle to the pot.
Now, pour the tea.